worthless.
Yeah, that's
Even if it's something specific. But I do agree. Yeah.
Just so you know, I just started the recording, so we are officially on tape now. If we want to start censoring ourselves for anything, yeah, it's like, oh, good, the audio's going. It's like, no, I'm with both of y'all when it comes to software patents and all that stuff. The idea behind a patent was to protect creativity, but not stifle it. For example, I solve a problem. It doesn't say I'm the only one that can solve this problem. It just says if you want to solve this and not give me my due, you have to come up with another way to solve it. And there's plenty of examples of that in other stuff outside of software where somebody came up with a solution that was different. It was not the same product. It solved the same problem. In some cases, the replacement solution was actually better than the original, and that wound up catching on. I'm trying to think of a good one off the top of my head. But it's like the idea behind a patent was it's supposed to be this one tiny piece that's unique. For example, I can't patent a screw, but I can patent a pattern on a screw that makes it self-locking so that it holds together better. That doesn't necessarily mean that's the only way to do that. And this is something Lego actually did. When Lego patented the thing for the Lego, they sat down and thought of every other possible formation of that wedging that can allow two blocks to lock together like this. And even though they only used the one for Lego, they did patent them all to lock it up. If they hadn't done that, the other wedgings that allow that to work would not have infringed on the Lego patent, because there are other solutions to the same problem. Lego has not patented the idea of interlocking two blocks together. They've interlacted the idea of using this shape to lock to this other shape. That very specific concept. But if you can figure out a way to do it that doesn't infringe on one of their patents, you should still be good to go there. However, in the case of Lego, that's a patent I should probably have expired by now, but it's like I said, there's exceptions to patent expirations. And the problem is, on software patents, we don't even patent something specific. We patent the idea of a thingamabob to do a whatchamacallit.
Yeah.
And for those of you wondering why we're talking about patent stuff, it's like, oh, okay, I'm not even going to try. What the heck's it called, Jordan?
ACTA, the Anti-Counterfeiting Trade Agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about this before Jordan brought it up. We decided to Google and Wikipedia it, and as near as we can figure what this is, basically an international DMCA for patent and trademarks, basically.
That's as close as I can come to it, yeah.
Okay.
But basically the crap that a lot of companies can do in their own country,
they can now do international.
Yeah, to a certain set of countries. Negotiations with Australia, Mexico, Morocco, New Zealand, Korea, Republic of Korea, and Singapore. They're planning to finish sometime this month, which is almost over, so I guess maybe not.
Well, here's the problem with laws like this, assuming this is what it is. If it's... The DMCA was actually a great idea. It was very, very poorly implemented. It was a good idea. The whole point behind the DMCA is because under the old law, pre-DMCA, to violate copyright law, you had to profit from the violation. Which means if I made an illegal copy and gave it to my Aunt Betty just to turn her on to something, why, technically I'm breaking the law. I'm not profiting from that. I didn't sell it to Aunt Betty. I actually lost money because I bought the tape, I invested my time to make the copy, and everything else. But now Aunt Betty's turned onto the stuff, and Aunt Betty will go buy tapes. There were people who were doing mass piracy, like running online torrent rings and file interchange channels and other stuff like that, who were hiding behind this. Well, I didn't profit from it because I'm just giving it away. And that was the idea that spearheaded the DMCA. The problem is the law was written so poorly and implemented so poorly that the only people it's really hurting for the most part are honest people who are actually buying stuff, not these mass pirate rings that they were supposed to go after. Why some of them have been taken to court. The people who have been taken to court on these things were people that they could have taken to court and shut them down before the DMCA. They just couldn't lock them in jail because they didn't technically violate. But they still shut them. They could still shut them down. So that wasn't really the problem. I'm afraid with a law like this that that's going to be the same problem, because nobody has gone through the patent clerk office. I can't speak for other countries, but I know damn well the patent and trademark office in the U.S. is still rubber stamping everything that comes through their doors when it comes to software, without doing any due diligence, without going, this is an idea, not a specific implementation. Please go back and resubmit it with a specific implementation. Which will mean we'll be preventing innovation on a global scale now, rather than just in a few select countries. Anyone got anything to contribute to that?
Let's cross our fingers it doesn't go through.
Wait a minute. A bad law not get passed? When has that happened? Especially an international bad law. I mean, come on. It's like,
why do you think that? Why do you think that it's okay for a software patent to last like 30 years, though?
Oh, like they're supposed to only last 15, but in some instances they can last longer. Patent and trademark law is the most ridiculous stuff. It's, you know, what is it? Copyright law is only supposed to last for 150 years, except
the author, right?
So, well, yeah, that's to protect the artist. Basically, their lifetime and a little bit past, so that their immediate descendants can either draw inspiration or profit from it as inheritors of their estate. But basically, the descendants of Rembrandt walking around today should not be still benefiting from Rembrandt. And that makes sense. And the 15 years really makes sense, because if you do invent something that completely and totally revolutionizes the world in the software environment, at the rate at which technology changes, 15 years gives you enough time to monopolize and then build enough innovation on top of that, that if you're continuing to contribute to and innovate, you can still have control. But if you're just sitting high on your laurels trying to cash in on old stuff, you cannot hold the whole industry hostage indefinitely. I'll give you a perfect example of that. Samuel Colt invented this is going back to hardware stuff, but Samuel Colt invented the revolver. Everybody makes revolvers now. Towards the late 1800s or early 1900s, I forget when it was, when Colt's patent was going to expire, a bunch of people set up gun companies, like 2 years before this happened. Their intention was to start making revolvers in a year or two. They were gearing up, they were making them for the day the patent expired, because the exclusivity was going to expire. That was the idea of patents, to protect the exclusivity of the creator, but not to prevent competition and give monopolies. What they've turned into is doing just that. They've become the iron will with which we prevent any innovation and any competition, because they've become so broad. If you rehashed software patents so that you're patenting the specific unique function somebody wrote to solve this problem, and if you get down into the way functions are written in software and stuff, there are other ways to solve that problem. It may not be as elegant, it may not be as efficient, but there are other ways to solve the same problem, in which case you can solve the same problem in a clean room environment without stealing somebody else's work. So if the patents protected the unique specificness that they're supposed to, rather than a broad implementation of an idea, then the 15-year limitation would not be a problem for stifling innovation and other stuff. As a matter of fact, it spearheaded, because it forced companies who want to compete and get into the successful arena to come up with alternative solutions to the problem.
By the way, as a bit of a sidebar to this, apparently a part of this ACTA text, I guess, border searches are added into it, which have to do with searching your laptops, your MP3 players, your cell phones for any sort of intellectual property infractions, I guess.
Oh, so there's a privacy concern here now, too. Basically,
Yeah.
don't cross international borders, don't cross any borders that you need a passport for
There's
if you
an
want to
awful lot
have
included in this.
if you want to have any privacy. Well, no, it's like, and honestly, what that would be doing is that would just be making legal what's only legal in countries, in 3 countries right now. There's only 3 countries right now, and I'm sad to say the U.S. is one of them, whereas you're going through customs, they can just seize all your electronic equipment and copy the data and do everything they want with it. Now, apparently the big thing U.S. Customs is searching for is porn, which, I like that, yeah, I take my porn across international borders rather than emailing it to myself. Yeah, that's what I do. That's like, but okay. That's,
What about encryption? I mean,
well, okay, here's the thing on that. You're not forbidden to encrypt your stuff. I guarantee you, if you're walking through customs and you refuse to decrypt that drive, you're never going to see that computer again. They will take it, and they will do everything they can to try and decrypt it, because a little known fact is when customs takes your stuff, they don't have to keep it in one piece. They don't even have to return it to you in working condition. If you drive across the border and they have cause to search your car, they can take a chainsaw to it and tear it apart, and there ain't a damn thing you can do about it. They say, well, we've verified there's nothing in it. These are not the people you want to play that civil rights game with. If you enforce your civil liberties with those people, they will make an example of you. I guarantee it. So, why that may protect the data, is you're going to lose a computer. And even then, that may not necessarily protect the data. Cryptography is tricky. There's a lot of ways to encrypt stuff that isn't as secure as some of us might like to think. I don't want to put a tinfoil hat on here and go all encryption can be broken, but encryption is not the perfect magic cloak it's made out to be either. I mean, with enough time and computing power, you can crack SSL certificates. The more practical way to get around them is to just intercept the data and get around the science, but as some governments do. But it's with enough computing power, there are ways to get around a lot of encryption. It's very good. It's better than nothing. If you're 256-bit or 1024-bit encrypting with a good random alphanumeric key or something, odds are your data is pretty secure, and they're going to have a hard time decrypting it. But I wouldn't count on that 100%, because it's a lot of the encryption, especially at the consumer level, is designed to deal with the possibility of maybe people forget how to decrypt it, and they don't want to lose all their data. I'm not saying there's like built-in backdoors or anything. I'm just saying it's not necessarily the best stuff either.